It was just before dawn. April 18, 2016, Midlothian, Texas. Inside a quiet church, someone moved silently through the halls, dressed in black tactical gear, wearing a helmet and carrying a hammer. They weren't there to pray. They were there to kill. Minutes later, 45-year-old Terri, Missy Bevers, walked into the same church to set up for her early morning fitness class. She never walked out. Her body was discovered by students arriving for boot camp, bludgeoned to death. The building was locked from the inside. There was no signs of forced entry, and there was one clue. The killer was caught on surveillance footage, fully dressed like SWAT, roaming the halls with eerie calm. And to this day, no one knows who they are. Missy Bevers was a beloved mother of 3, a fitness instructor, a dedicated wife. Her friends described her as magnetic, someone who could light up a room with her smile and encouragement. She led early morning Camp Gladiator boot camps, rain or shine, even in the quiet, empty halls of Creekside Church of Christ. On that Monday morning, just after 4 a.m., she arrived to set up for class. By 5 a.m., her students were pulling into the lot, and that's when they found her body crumpled on the floor, bludgeoned and bleeding. The scene was brutal. Missy had suffered multiple puncture wounds to the head and chest, possibly from a hammer. There were signs of a struggle, but nothing was stolen. Nothing made sense, until the police reviewed the church's security footage. The video chilled investigators to the bone. Captured on the camera around 3:50 a.m., about 30 minutes before Missy arrived, was a person wearing what looked like riot gear, heavy boots, helmet, a black vest labelled police. They moved from room to room, opening doors, swinging what looked like a hammer. But there was no urgency, no panic. The walk was slow, almost mechanical. The video didn't show the murder itself, but it was clear the killer had been waiting. The image shocked the community. Who would dress up like police to carry out a murder, and in a church no less? The first theories pointed to a robbery gone wrong, but nothing was taken. The next, a random break-in. But the killer seemed to know exactly when to strike. Soon, attention shifted closer to home. Investigators discovered Missy had been receiving strange messages on LinkedIn in the days before her death. Flirty, then unsettling. They began to suspect she may have known her killer, that this wasn't random at all. One person came under intense scrutiny, Missy's husband, Brandon Bevers. He was out of town on a fishing trip when she was killed, and he passed a polygraph. But the internet sleuths pointed out something strange. The killer's gait, seen in the surveillance video, had a noticeable limp or odd walk. Some claimed it looked just like Brandon's father, Randy Bevers, who had a similar posture. Police asked him for his size 14 New Balance shoes, and he complied. Nothing came of it. There was no charges or arrest, and no confirmed suspect. Other theories began to surface. Could this have been a jealous rival, an angry student, an obsessed stalker? Police confirmed they had received numerous trips, and that Missy's life, though outwardly perfect, had its secrets. There were whispers of marital strain, financial issues, even affairs, but again, no proof, only rumours. And all the while the killer's identity remained just out of reach. The case drew national attention. The surveillance footage went viral. True crime communities picked it apart frame by frame. Some pointed out the killer was likely female based on the size and build. Others believed it was a man in disguise. The way the person moved, stopping to open doors they clearly didn't need led some to suggest the killer was faking a break-in to make it look like a random burglary. But one fact was undeniable. This was planned. The killer entered before Missy, waited in the dark, and attacked without mercy. Years passed. Police released more footage. They interviewed dozens. The Bevers family issued pleas. The reward grew, but no arrest was ever made. In 2021, 5 years later, authorities confirmed the case was still open. They had received more than 3,000 tips, interviewed over 800 people, and combed through volumes of evidence. But the killer? Still out there, still unknown. The case of Missy Bevers is terrifying, not just because of its brutality, but because of its silence. A woman was hunted in a house of worship, her killer caught on camera and yet still free. Her children were left without a mother, her husband without answers, her community without peace. What kind of person does this? What kind of person moves slowly through a church in riot gear, waiting, planning, killing, and then disappears? Was it personal? Was it rage? Was it jealousy? Or was it something darker? A mask worn not just on the face, but in the soul.